My name is Brianna, also known as Diva and the Divine on YouTube, Instagram, and all across the internet, and I am one of your healthy coaches, and today I am here to bring you another update on my personal weight loss journey. For those of you that are just joining me on this journey, I started a fat loss phase on January 24th of this year, so I'm in week 7. I'm in week 7. Wow, the time is flying, let me tell you. Week 7 of my fat loss phase. I am following the calorie command plan with secondary metric of macros turned on in the Healthi app because I'm actually tracking macros. And my macros are being dictated not by the app, but by my own nutrition coach who I have hired to do my fat loss phase for me. So my coach is the one who's in charge of all of my numbers, all of my changes, and I just input them into the app and go about my day. Today, I want to bring you a couple of updates of things that have happened since the last time we've talked, kind of how I'm feeling, and the struggles I've been having along the way. First, let's start with right where we left off last time, which is I had just started what is called a 5-2 carb cycle. What is carb cycling? Carb cycling is when you take your total number of calories that you would normally consume in a week, and instead of having them be the same every day, instead of having, 1900 calories and these are your macros 7 days a week, it changes things and you cycle your carbohydrates. So some days are low carb days, which means you have fewer calories and fewer carbs to work with, and other days are high carb days where you have higher calories and higher carbs to work with. When we last talked, I was just finishing up a 6-1 carb cycle period, which means I had 6 low carb days and 1 pretty dramatic high carb day. And I was just starting into the phase of 5-2 carb cycling, which means 5 low carb days and then 2 back-to-back less dramatic high carb days. And let me tell you, I vastly prefer the 5-2 carb cycle to the 6-1 carb cycle. I don't know what it is about it, but both times I've gone through 2 weeks of 5-2 carb cycles so far, and I feel so much more balanced, so much more comfortable. I feel like I can get all of the things that I need in the lower carb instead of the less dramatic high carb day. Does that make sense? And having 2 of them back to back makes weekends really, really easy. Friday and Saturday has tended to be my high carb days, and it works so well for me. And it just, I don't know, it feels really good. I can't explain it. I just feel like instead of having to do this big, dramatic, here's like 300 more, 400 more calories, I can't remember how much it was. It was a lot more calories, it felt like, and a lot of carbs doing the 6-1 carb cycle, whereas it feels just a little bit more balanced, a little bit more sustainable doing the 5-2 carb cycle where I can have my treats. I've been saving some of my specifically high carb things, especially things from my wild grain box. If you follow me on my channel, you'll know I'm a subscriber to the sourdough bread and pasta and artisan carbohydrates, basically, subscription box. And a lot of it is straight carbs because it's bread and it's good, healthy, clean bread, but it's still bread nonetheless. And so I've been saving, making some of the croissants and the English muffins and even the chocolate chip cookies. There's all sorts of good stuff in that box. All sorts of good stuff. But I've been saving them for my high carb days, and it feels really easy. Even though the high carb day is less dramatic than it was, I can still work in 3 or 4 specific carby things into my day that wouldn't normally be there, and it fits perfectly. I feel very balanced this time around as a whole. I even went as far as to work in a 360 calorie cookie into a low carb day. I had it on Sunday, even though Friday and Saturday were my high carb days, and it just so happened that I was, protein forward enough and eating the right number of macros where I was really, really easily able to slip that almost 400 calorie cookie in without so much as a blink of an eye. And that, my friends, let me tell you, it feels an awful lot like food freedom. We spend so much time in the diet mentality and thinking about how foods are good or foods are bad, and that's not the case at all. And how certain foods are off limits. A lot of us limit our foods because we're on a diet. And I'm trying really hard not to do that this time around, and it's working. It's working, and I feel really good about it. So the 5-2 carb cycle is awesome. I feel great about it. I'm on week 3 of the 5-2 carb cycle. So what have my results been? Well, my weight went down and I hit a new low, which has been awesome, but then my weight spiked back up and I have not been able to get back down to that new low. So at my lowest weight since I last saw you and now, which was about a week ago, Yes, actually, it'll be a week ago tomorrow was when I weighed in at my lowest weight yet on this fat loss phase. I was down 3.5 pounds total for the duration of this fat loss phase, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but it is still over half a pound a week. It is still over half a pound a week. And the measurements in the photos are drawing a more accurate picture of the story than the scale is. Weight can be affected by a lot of things, and I urge you to remember this, my friends. Weight can be affected by lack of sleep, too much stress. You ate too many carbs. You ate more food. You ate later than normal. You didn't go to the bathroom completely in the morning before you weighed in. You had more water. You're PMSing. All sorts of things. All sorts of something you ate made you bloated. All sorts of things. I almost listed 10 things that have nothing to do with being over in calories that could affect your weight. Your fat and my fat loss is what I am focused on, and I need to keep reminding myself of that regularly, on the daily, on the hourly. More on that in a second. So at my lowest weight, which again has been fluctuating up and down, I've lost about 3.5 pounds so far, which is great. My measurements, I don't have anything exciting to update on my measurements because, and this was totally expected, my measurements barely changed last time I took measurements, which was earlier this week. So it was 2 weeks since the last time I took measurements, and I'm maybe down 3/4 of an inch total across my body, which is fine. Why? Because I've had such dramatic inch loss from the beginning. I'm down almost 10 inches on my body total. Like, that's a lot. And in 7 weeks, that's a lot. And because it has come from measurements taken from all over the places, it doesn't appear and it doesn't feel to me quite as dramatic as 10 inches sounds, but it's still 10 inches nonetheless. So I did not expect anything major to happen with my measurements this past measuring period, and I was right. And so I wasn't even heartbroken by it because my measurements have been blowing me out of the water, so I was due for a little to no change in the measurement department. So my hope is over the next 2 weeks, and when I weigh again at the end of week 8, I will see movement in the measurements more significant than the last time that I took measurements at the beginning of this week. So 3.5 pounds down, 10 inches off of my body. Not too shabby for 6.5 weeks of work, huh? And mind you, this is while eating carbohydrates, eating full fat cheeses, and 360 calorie chocolate chip cookies. I'm feeling really, really good about it. Now let's talk about a couple of my struggles. Of course, the weight fluctuation has been getting to me, and it got to me so much, and I didn't even think that I had had an emotional response that warranted this, but I got a lecture from my coach about how much weight I'm giving the weight on the scale. She's like, you have got to let it go. You have got to let it go. And she went like tough love mode on me, which is normally what I do to you guys. No, she went tough love mode on me. She's like, Brianna, you have got to let it go. The scale is irrelevant. It does not matter. And I'm here to repeat that to you. The scale is irrelevant. It does not matter compared to the other things that are happening. And I have proof that everything else is going the way it is supposed to. So what if I spiked back up 2 pounds and I'm slowly working my way back down again? It doesn't matter. Does everything else check out? Yes. Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Yes. Then don't worry about it. The scale results will come with consistency. So stop worrying about the number of the scale. Stop giving it so much value. I weigh in every single morning. It's not news. I watch my weight fluctuate all the time, and there are some days that I handle it better than others, and it's fine. But it was just really interesting that like she decided to like beat it into me. She's like, I know you know this, but I'm gonna tell you again. And I needed to hear it. So consider this your reminder, my friends. Weight fluctuations happen. It's totally okay. And the scale is not the most important metric when we are looking at fat loss. And that is the big primary difference between fat loss and weight loss. When you are focusing on weight loss, you're focusing on the number on the scale. When you're focusing on fat loss, you are focusing on the body composition changes and the amount of fat on your body. There is a difference. I am working on fat loss. So emotional dealings with the fluctuations was a little bit of a struggle this week. I also injured my back, so I wasn't able to work out much at all last week, which also kind of was difficult, except for the fact that I hit my low weight while I was in the middle of that week of not working out, which was kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. But it was a struggle because now that I'm trying to get back into it, mustering the energy and the consistency has been a little bit more slow rolling than I would like it to be, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's just taken me a while to get back on the train after, I think it was literally like 10 days of no lifting. So there's that. In terms of eating, I really haven't had any problems. One thing that I've noticed, and like I do it so casually now, like tracking and worrying about my food is just not something not something I'm doing. I'm definitely tracking. Worrying about it is not something that I'm doing. And I just feel like this is super laid back and easy. And it's just like, oh, very matter of fact that what I'm doing is tracking my food right now. So when I do something like overeat and all of a sudden, oh shoot, I'm really low on carbs for this day, I just kind of, you know, plan ahead and manipulate things a little bit until I come up with a combination of foods that ends up fitting into my macros. And I have been noticing that I've been having to do that a little bit more, letting go of mayonnaise on my sandwich because I want to save some fat for later over here. There has been a little bit more macro manipulation, but that's not necessarily a struggle. It's just something that I'm observing. It's for the first time I have felt like I've actually had to make choices. Whereas earlier, and especially in maintenance, I haven't really had to choose. Do I want mayonnaise on my sandwich or do I want full fat cheese? I haven't had to choose. And now I'm getting to the point because of some other choices I'm making that I have to choose. And that's not good or bad. It just is. And I'm fine with it. I don't feel restricted by it. So it's not really a struggle. It's just an observation. A couple of wins are I hit a low weight. I'm not there, but I hit a new low, and it's always exciting to see another new low. And then something that again is tied to the scale, but I feel like it's worth sharing is this. And I can't remember if I mentioned this last week or not, but I started using this tracker that my husband built for me in Excel that compares my weight from what day I'm in my cycle to the next month's same day on the cycle. So for example, like day 1, when your period starts, I have day 1 and you write in your weight. And then, you know, you enter your weight for every day. And then, you know, it's day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, etc., all the way down until you start your next period. And then you go back to day 1, right? Once you have a second day 1, the Excel sheet will compare your first weight to your second weight and tell you if you have lost or gained from day 1, month 1 to day 1, month 2, which is wildly valuable information because for women, if you still get your cycle, your weight fluctuates strictly hormonally. You could do everything else right and you will weigh more at certain times of your cycle and you will weigh less at certain times of your cycle. So what this Excel sheet allows me to do is to look at where I'm at in my cycle and compare month to month. And that gives a much more true and accurate picture to the weight loss that I have had. And every comparison from month 1 to month 2 has been in the green, which means I have lost. So I have I still am clocking in less than what I was same time last month, which feels really good. And I feel like that's a huge win. And once I started filling in that tracker, it really kind of calmed my nerves about the weighing in a little bit. So that was a huge win. And like I said, my other huge win is just tracking feels super casual. I'm really easily working things in and switching things out and making the numbers work. And it feels very easy, which is awesome. It's great. I love it. It's really fun to know that you're on a diet and working towards fat loss and not feeling like you're on a diet. It's game changing. It's really stinking game changing, and I'm loving macros for that very reason. So what's coming next? Well, fun fact, this week I actually had my calories docked. So I will talk more about that in the next video because I just started on these lower calories this week, so I don't really have extensive results to talk about yet, but I got my calories docked, so I'm eating on average less than I have been so far in my cut, which is super fun. It's only like an average of 50 calories a day, so it's not a big deal. But still, I was like, really, you're gonna cut my calories? And my coach cut my fat, which was the big, I love my fat. I love fat. And what's funny is the first day I was so cautious about fat because I had lost 5 grams of fat that I ended up way under on my fat because I was so busy hoarding it for a time that I never ate it. It's all a learning experience, and every time things get adjusted, you have to figure out how to readjust, and it takes a couple of days to adapt to your new numbers, which is totally fine. So I had my calories docked, which is the first thing that we'll talk about next week, and I'm doing my first stint of traveling on a fat loss phase. I know I'm going to be ordering out, and I know I'm going to be celebrating with birthday party food for the weekend. So I will come back and I will report back to you how I did with macro tracking for fat loss while on the road and traveling, because that's something I haven't done yet. So stay tuned for that. And that's all I've got for this update, my friends. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. If you have any questions for me, I do pop in and check out the comment section of these videos and answer any questions or comments you might have. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch. Take care, and I will see you next time. Bye!